Welcome to Film 2001. Full speed ahead and don't spare the horses. Tonight, macho horsepower with Samuel L. Jackson in 51st State. Beware of the Black Riders. We've got precious material from The Lord of the Rings. Naughty young fillies in Women Talking Dirty.
I slept with him.
And a thoroughbred brought to life. A sneak preview of Will Smith in Arlie.
The champ is here!
For 6 years now, the story of Steve Pavlo, the bloke who wrote a screenplay while working in an off-licence and sold it to Hollywood, has been closely scrutinised in various movie publications and TV shows, including the one you're wise enough to be watching now. Well, the result of that moment of inspiration amid the six-packs has arrived in the shape of the Samuel L. Jackson vehicle 51st State, where we find Hollywood's coolest man grappling with the subtleties of the Queen's English.
So let me get this straight. Bollocks is bad, whereas the dog's bollocks is good, huh?
Yeah. Oh, bollocks! Gotcha. Come on in! Come on! Stop! Come on!
With more swearing and brutal violence and the Radio 2 DJ's Christmas party, 51st State attempts what so many homegrown movies have tried and failed to do in the past: combine Hollywood spectacle with a defiantly British outlook.
Chicken bollocks! I've been watching British crime films for a long time, since like The Long Good Friday when I first came over. So I've always been intrigued by the British underground, and I've always wanted to shoot a film here. So this seemed like the perfect opportunity to be in that situation with all these colorful characters in a place like Liverpool and get it done. So I was actively trying to get this film done for like 5 years.
Samuel L. Jackson clearly enjoys himself playing the bekilted McElroy, an outlaw pharmacist who creates a designer drug and comes to Scousland to flog his product to the highest bidder.
All I want is a ticket for the game. You think you can swing that?
$20 million can swing anything. You know what I'm selling.
Well, how much?
5% of whatever I get out of any deal you set up. It's $1 million. Hell, you can buy your own goddamn stadium with that.
Game's tomorrow.
Well, you better get started then.
The big man surrounded by just about every Brit flick regular going, including Ricky Tomlinson, Sean Pertwee and Rhys Ifans.
I want samples, Mr. McElroy. I want supersonic samples. I want thrust. I want 100,000 miles an hour of intergalactic spaciness. See ya!
Icky's a special effect in this film. That's why I was hired, and that's what I did. So don't ask me about his background or anything like that.
How much are they paying you to wear that skirt?
Although none of them can compete with that special effect Mr. Jackson has when he uses his trademark profanity.
Fag.
No, sometimes it just comes out as straight like you said it, mother, or it comes out as mother, or it comes out as mother. You know, you can say it in all kinds of ways, and it has a different meaning, or people take it in an interesting sort of way.
Now that is a lovely dress. Need the extra room, do you? Tell me something, I'm intrigued. Is it true that you fellas are equipped with incredibly large...
This is clearly a well-meaning attempt to make an all-action, popcorn, blockbuster type of film in England, and surprisingly they pull it off, despite what might appear to be an unlikely setting. But before you start thinking it's a victory for the home team, I should inform you that the producer stroke star is one of Hollywood's biggest names, and the director one of Hong Kong's finest, so it's hard to be that patriotic. However, they do a fine job of playing to our strengths, and if you're in the mood for this kind of thing, then it's hard to dislike. The performances are suitably over the top, the direction zippy, and the hip-hop soundtrack works a treat. On the debit side, you could say the story is a bit hard to swallow, but since when do we go to see these movies for a well-crafted plot? The sight of a kilted Samuel L. Jackson bashing a bunch of skinheads with a golf club is a memorable enough treat to earn the movie a recommendation. Essentially, 51st Date is Pulp Fiction with small p and small f, the trash aesthetic writ large. It won't stay with you longer than a takeaway, but sometimes that's just what you fancy on a Saturday night. You can visit the 51st Date at cinemas from tomorrow. When Maurice Chevalier sang "Thank Heavens for Little Girls," I think we can safely assume it was not from the perspective of fatherhood, because as all dads know, one day they're looking up to you full of wonder and admiration, the next they're borrowing the car and getting into trouble. At least they are if they're the central character in Riding in Cars with Boys, brought to life here by Drew Barrymore. Pregnant at the age of 15 to a feckless, if well-meaning, dropout, the story's heroine refuses to accept the projected fate of a teenage mother, instead chasing dreams of a college education and a writing career. And it seemed like only yesterday she was tottering about in mum's high heels.
How am I going to tell my parents about this? I can't even talk to them about the weather. How am I supposed to tell them that I committed a mortal sin? A mortal sin! Okay. I understand. Okay, calm down. We'll practice. Pretend that I'm your parents. Okay, you'll just say what you're going to say. You'll get through it. Okay, just tell it to me like you would tell it to them. I don't know how to tell you this. What? I'm pregnant. My daughter's a tramp. My daughter's a tramp. You're a disgrace. I wish that you were never born.
I would say that it was a film about family and the most honest, real, incredibly deep, interesting, and humorous look at family that is not sort of at all Hollywood, but really, really true. Perfume? Right. Ready to go? Okay, put it down. Come on. How do I look?
You look beautiful, Mommy.
Playing a single mum toughened Barrymore up in all kinds of ways.
For this film, I have blatantly told people that I think they're full of crap.
I woke up this morning truly believing that by this afternoon my life would be different. Not only because it was my dream, but because I earned it. And now look at me. 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm just another angry housewife yelling at her husband on the lawn in front of the entire neighborhood! Yeah! That's me! Wonderful! Thank you, Ray!
You look smart, Mom. You do. You look really smart.
Riding in Cars with Boys is based on a true story and probably quite an intriguing one before it got mangled in the Hollywood machine. Beverly is a flawed and self-centered woman with a lack of concern for those around her, in particular her son. But once the melodrama gets cranking, all her rough edges are sanded down and she winds up neither interesting nor especially likeable. The structure is also poorly realised. We meet her on the verge of success, then flashback to harder times when she can't go to college or develop her nascent writing ability. But because we've already seen her on the verge of having a book published, the film's chances of generating any tension are more than somewhat undermined. Instead of creating a rounded character, Drew Barrymore offers a series of increasingly irritating mannerisms, tics and whines. But that said, she has a far more appealing screen presence than Brittany Murphy, who shouldn't be allowed to stretch her meagre talents beyond pop videos. As the father of Barrymore's baby, Steve Zahn is almost a saving grace, but the film is so slickly made and so devoid of any guts that it amounts to little more than hack work that left me rather cold. Riding in Cars with Boys goes on general release from tomorrow. Not surprisingly, it failed to make much of an impact at the US box office, where these are the big hitters currently parting the public from their money. At 5.
Who be ye?
Who be I?
Martin Lawrence goes medieval on your ass in Black Knight, with a hey nonny nonny and a...
How shall I introduce thee?
Jamal, Scar,
Walker.
What's up? Hey, what's up there?
He's French.
Yeah!
Silence!
At 4,
Did you lose weight or a limb?
Monsters Incorporated busts through the $200 million mark.
Wazowski! What do you know? It scares little kids and little monsters.
Save it for the scare floor, will you?
I'm in the zone today, Sullivan. Gonna be doing some serious scaring, putting up some big numbers.
At 3,
You want to accuse me of something? Accuse me.
all right then, I accuse you, Messrs Redford and Pitt, of taking 11 million to push Spy Game to number 3.
Here, have a seat. I take it you didn't get to be a marksman putting food on your mama's table.
No, sir, we have a Safeway back home.
Where'd you learn to shoot?
Boy Scout, sir.
At 2, Behind Enemy Lines. This Bosnian-set war drama was rush-released to take advantage of the current patriotic fervour in America. Ye, and indeed, ha.
Smile, guys, you're on TV.
Nick Firehouse! We have been engaged. Where is it? Nick, closing in. We're clipped! Eject!
But at number 1, who else? A dip in the weekend's takings means experts are now predicting the boy wizard won't knock Titanic off the top of the all-time box office throne. But what do they know?
What is it? Some kind of cloak. Well, let's see then. Put it on. Whoa! My body's gone. I know what that is. That's an invisibility cloak.
Oh, forgive me, just brushing up on things elvish, and I'm not talking about the screenplay for Paradise Hawaiian Style. Because next week, this show will be coming from the appropriately spectacular party for one of the biggest, most keenly awaited films of this or any other year, The Fellowship of the Ring, first instalment of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and coming to a cinema near you on the 19th of December. With fans of J.R.R. Tolkien's epic as excited as a hobbit with his hands on some old Toby, here's an exclusive clip all the way from Middle-earth to wind up the expectation levels another few tantalising notches.
Is it sealed? Is it safe?
What are you doing?
Hold out your hand, Frodo. It's quite cool. What can you see? Can you see anything?
Nothing. There's nothing. Wait. There are markings. It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
There are few who can. The language is that of Mordor, which I will not utter here.
Mordor?
In the common tongue, it says, one ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness, fight.
Film marketeers would have you believe that the male of the species only likes guns and explosions and car chases in their movies, while the female prefers her cinematic stories to focus on the mysterious process known as bonding. Women Talking Dirty sticks to that formula like Loctite and features the destined for damedom Helena Bonham Carter.
I've never told you this, but I envy you.
What, me? 2 kids, different fathers, no maintenance. I really got it right.
No, really, you've got everything.
Gina McKee is the dreamy, ethereal Ellen, opposite Helena's feisty and fertile Cora. 2 wee Scottish lassies who, despite their differences, become the best of friends, and then talk, really rather a lot, about how different they are, and yet how great it is they're bosom pals. It all starts here.
Yeah, I'm sure she doesn't take crap from her blokes. Is that why you're sitting here? Crap from your bloke. Big fight.
Huge.
Snap.
Really?
It's a British take on a female bonding movie. It's like Thelma and Louise, but in Scotland. And I guess I must be Gina Davis, and she's Susan Sarandon. Gina is Susan Sarandon. So perhaps I should phone her up. She'd probably want to be Gina Davis, though, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is.
Is that why you haven't shagged anyone for the past 30 years?
She's just off because Stanley fancies me and she can't get Daniel out of her mind, and she should, because he's an arse.
Well, I know Daniel wasn't as sane, but I loved him.
Oh, come here.
And what makes you such an expert on Daniel?
I slept with him.
Elton John's significant other, David Furnish, produced the film with backing from Watford's most famous fan. The latter kept a low profile, but not low enough for Helena.
One time he appeared just before I was going to give birth in the film, so I was trying on all my different pregnancy pads, so I think he was kind of embarrassed to come in and say hi, because I was, like, practically not wearing very much, and, you know, trying on my pregnancy pads, which frankly are not very attractive when you don't have any clothes on top of them. So that was a bit odd.
You know, it's finally over for Daniel and me. I can't get my head around it. Thought you were over him. I was. Well, I was. I definitely was. You know, then papers arrive and suddenly I'm under him again. Cora.
As the title suggests, this is a franker, more attitudinal look at the chick flick, and while it's pretty entertaining, it doesn't quite convince as a slice of life. Helena Bonham Carter delivers a decent performance, although her Scots accent is perhaps more Princess Mononoke than Princes Street. Despite playing a role familiar to those who saw her in Notting Hill, Gina McKee impresses as her best mate, while James Nesbitt amiably trots out another one of the very nice men he seems to specialise in. But I felt they hoped it would feel gritty and realistic, and it doesn't really, partly because in the style of most Britcoms, we're treated to a bunch of lovable characters who seem only to exist in movies. The paternal gay couple next door, or the dotty music-loving woman who once had an affair with Rachmaninoff. Unfortunately, it's afflicted by the curse of the comedy drama. It's not funny enough to be a comedy, or gripping enough to be a solid drama, and if it's not one thing or the other, then it's hard to consider it a satisfying success. That said, it's likeable enough, much more entertaining than Riding in Cars with Boys, and given that it was executive produced by Sir Elton, it wouldn't be cricket to badmouth it, would it? Women will be talking dirty across the country from tomorrow. With one major music names company behind one of the week's releases, this is perhaps a timely point at which to remember the achievements as a film producer of another such figure, George Harrison, who died last week at the age of just 58. Because as well as his huge achievements as a performer and songwriter, he was also a very significant force in the rebirth of the British movie industry in the 1980s through the creation of handmade films. Though the venture ultimately ended unhappily, the company was involved in a number of acclaimed, successful and enduring movies, including The Long Good Friday, Time Bandits, Mona Lisa, With Nell and I, and the project which began his involvement behind the camera, Monty Python's Life of Brian, remembered here by Python team member and Time Bandits director Terry Gilliam.
He rescued Life of Brian. He set up handmade films for the Pythons. He made a whole string of British films. And during the handmade years, it was, in many ways, British cinema. Nobody ever talks about that. They just talk about the other. I mean, George is responsible for a lot of really fine filmmaking.
Matthias, son of Deuteronomy of Gath?
Do I say yes? Yes. Yes.
You have been found guilty by the elders of the town of uttering the name of our Lord, and so as a blasphemer, you are to be stoned to death.
Look, I'd had a lovely supper, and all I said to my wife was that piece of halibut was good enough for Jehovah.
Blasphemy! He said it again!